Welcome back to the show. Today I want to share some thoughts with you on the power of words. The power of words. I know you've been in situations, and I know I've been in quite a few situations, where the words that people use to you can either build you up, or the words that people use to you can tear you down in a big way. And I would probably suggest to you that you've been on the opposite side of those tracks, where you have said words that have built people up, and also you've used words that have torn people down. Because you and I, whether you and I realize it or not, are more in charge of our words than maybe we think we're in charge of our words. So that's the big picture. That's the theme of today's show. And the foundation of the show in today's episode comes from the Bible. And the Bible is a set of books jammed together, glued together, if you will, that are full of stories and examples and lessons for all of us that, if you take the concepts out of them, can really open your eyes to quite a few different things. So let's kind of jump into that quite a bit. In the book of Ephesians is in the New Testament of the Bible, and Paul was a guy whose name originally was Saul, and Saul was a major enemy of this new religion called Christianity. Paul was Jewish, he was raised Jewish, and he and so many other people viewed this Christian faith as a cult, as a threat to the culture that had been in place for a couple of thousand years at that time. So one of Paul's jobs was to find and locate these Christians that were teaching this new religion that made Christ the Messiah, that made Christ this chosen one, that came to bring people directly to God instead of going through the priests and the rabbis of that day and that culture that had been in place and established by God for 2,000 years. So it was a very dramatic cultural shift for the people in the area. So Paul's job was to stamp out this new religion. So one day, Paul was out actually en route with some of his colleagues to arrest some more people that were following this new faith. And an event happened that changed his entire life. The event, he went blind for a period of time. So there was this guy named Barnabas who was challenged to go see Paul, or his name was Saul at the time. And Barnabas was like, there's no way I can do this because, I'm not going to put my life on the line. Long story short, that in time, Saul, who changed his name to Paul, was able to see again. And then in that instant, he became, instead of an enemy of the Christian faith, he became a huge cheerleader of the Christian faith, which caused Paul to establish, now we're still talking about Paul some 2,000 years after the fact. So again, the theme of today's show is called the power of words. So in the Bible, in the book of Ephesians, Paul wrote this. He says this, he says, "Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth." One version of the Bible puts it this way. "Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word that is good for edification or building up, according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear." Another paraphrase of this same text says, "Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them." Think about that a minute. How many times haven't you and I, in fact, the original Greek text says this in that same text. It says, "Let no rotten words come out of your mouth." Let no rotten words come out of your mouth. You and I have a tendency, I know I do, more times than I care to share with you, that is, I've allowed some rotten words to come out of my mouth. Words that were not encouraging, words that were discouraging, words that were not thought out before I spoke them, and sometimes I just spoke words that I shouldn't have spoken at all. I think you can relate to exactly what I'm talking about, that you speak before you think. So again, I go back to what Ephesians says. It says, don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. There are some things, by the way, that you and I don't need to say. Oh, I know that's tempting, and you don't want to hear that, and I don't even want to say it. But there are some people that don't need to hear what you want them to hear. Stop and think about that a minute. There are some people that don't need to hear what you want to tell them. Because is it really going to change what they're doing anyway? I would suggest to you that sometimes you waste words that you don't need to be speaking. I would say that there are some things that there are some people that don't need to hear what you're really eager to tell them. As an example, you want to tell a certain person off because they've done this or that to you. Is it really going to change their behavior? I'm still learning that. I've told some people off in the past that did it really change them? Did it change their outlook on life? Did it stop them from doing the evil deeds that I've tried to correct them on? No, didn't change it at all. So they kept doing it. So Paul is talking about lies and deceit and deceiving other people. So there are times when you and I have a tendency to spit out this unwholesome talk that isn't really helpful. Rabbi Joseph, I can't pronounce his last name, he wrote a book called Words That Hurt, Words That Heal. He says this. He says that we should use words that impact people's lives and to lift other people up, because so many people understand that their words can either give life or they can either give death. So let me share an example in his book. He often asks audiences if they can go 24 hours without saying any unkind words about or to any other person. Invariably, a small number of listeners raise their hands, signaling yes, others laugh, and most people yell out, no way, I can't do that. So the teacher responds, those who can't answer yes must recognize that you have a serious problem. If you cannot go 24 hours without drinking liquor, you are addicted to alcohol. If you can't go 24 hours without smoking, you're addicted to nicotine. Similarly, if you can't go 24 hours without saying something unkind about others, then you have lost control over your tongue. That's hard to do. It's hard to share with you because we've all been there at one time or another. He goes on to, Max Lucado is a great author. He tells stories and paints word pictures that'll blow your mind. Again, Max Lucado. Go get just one of his books, if not several. Just read it. It will. The way he describes stuff, I wish I could be that good. This guy, Max Lucado, writes, I discovered the importance of healthy counsel in half Ironman triathlons. After the 1.2-mile swim and the 56-mile bike ride, I didn't have much energy left for the 13.1-mile run. Neither did the fellow jogging next to me. I asked him how he was doing and soon regretted posing the question. This stinks. This race is the dumbest decision I've ever made. He had more complaints than a taxpayer at the IRS. My response to him, goodbye. I know if I listened too long, I'd start agreeing with him. I caught up with a 66-year-old grandmother. Her tone was just the opposite. You'll finish this, she encouraged. It's hot, but at least it's not raining. One step at a time. Don't forget to hydrate. Stay in there. I ran next to her until my heart was lifted and my legs were aching. I finally had to slow down. No problem, she waved and kept going. It really matters the people that you hang around, because those people that you hang around can either bring you down or pick you up. I mean, I've had to be very candid with you, part company with some people that one of their habits was to be having potty mouth. They always talked in a very nasty way, not only with cursing and foul language, but just negative. They just didn't look at the glasses half full at all, ever. I had to decide to get away from those folks. I've had to part ways employment-wise with people that were so negative, because how can you succeed in any venture when you're being so negative? You just can't. Your words, your words, my words, can give life or they can give death to other people. including ourselves. In the book of James, toward the end of the New Testament, James was a follower of Christ. He says this in chapter 3, a paraphrase of this text in James 3 says this. It says, this is scary. You can tame a tiger, but you can't tame a tongue. It's never been done. The tongue runs wild, a wanton killer. With our tongues we bless God our Father, and with the same tongues we curse the very men and women we make in His image. Curses and blessings out of the same mouth. Think about that a minute. I can't remember the author who said it, but he said cold words freeze people. Cold words freeze people. Warm words loose people. Hot words scorch people, and of course, cool words calm people. Bitter words bite people, and kind words soothe people. Positive words bring positive results, while negative words bring negative results. I tell you, there is power, there is great power within our words. Think about all the coworkers that you've worked with over the years, and how few of the coworkers, statistically few, who were positive. And then think about the majority of those folks that you worked with that were negative and complainers and whiners. Poor me, I hate this job. They didn't realize that they're employed and somebody else wasn't employed and would love to trade places with them. Words carry a tremendous amount of weight. William Whitmore says that, and I believe that the evil one recognizes the power that's in our mouths, and so many times he convinces us to say the wrong words, and so it gets us derailed. It's really important to be careful what you allow out of your mouth. I'll say this multiple times in this episode. It is really, 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 really important that you remember and you're conscious of what words leave your mouth. Now, I would suggest to you that you have more power in your words than you give yourself credit for. Now, you're saying, John, you're talking all out there in la la land. I'm really not. If you read the people that are way smarter than both of us, you're going to read about people who've achieved some really great things by starting what words they use every single day. And for me, I can't speak for you, but for me, what words that I allow around me. That is, I purposely hang up in my office and around the house in different places, especially in my office at home, words that are encouraging, and words that are, and I don't hang up words that are discouraging. Why? Because it plays mind games with me. The stuff that I read, I say in my mind, just like you do. You see a sign on the wall, you read the sign in your head, so that gets ingrained into your mindset. So the words you use, the words you speak, has a tremendous effect on what you can or cannot do. Again, life and death, the scriptures say, are in the power of the tongue. One text says that we're supposed to think about and speak words that are they true? First of all, are you speaking words that are truthful, or are you stretching the truth? Are you lying? Are you telling half-truths instead of the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Are you telling complete stories? Or are you just leaving little details out that make you look good? How many people have you met? I know a few who will share a story but will leave out vital details in the story that make them look a certain way, which is not factual. And then that absence of information makes another person look evil, or at least not so nice, and then you realize, wait a minute, once this story is out, then they realize that this is the person who's hiding the truth. Some things you got to think about, are the words that you want to speak necessary? There are some things that you and I want to say so bad, but is it really necessary? Is it going to matter to the person that you really want to tell off? Or put it another way, I've said on the shows before, there are some people who don't know that they don't know. I'll say it again. There are some people who don't know that they don't know. So for those people who don't know that they don't know, is any amount of advice or help that you're going to render to them going to help them at all? Because in order for them to understand and seek and or follow any kind of advice, they have to step up a notch. They have to go from not knowing that they don't know to knowing that they don't know. That's the only way where wisdom and or knowledge can be imparted or received, when you know that you don't know. So do you really want to keep hanging around people that don't know that they don't know? In fact, there's a lot of them out there that don't know that they don't know. Why are you and I wasting our time with people that don't know that they don't know versus people who know that they don't know? Hello, I'd rather hang out with people who know that they don't know instead of people who don't know that they don't know. To me, that just makes a lot more sense. Proverbs in the Old Testament, in chapter 12, verse 18, it says, reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Again, reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise bring healing. I think you can remember times in your life that people have said some really nasty things to you. I could probably list a few of them that they probably said to you. And this may have happened, long time ago, years and years ago. But every now and again, maybe even every day, especially at night when you're laying there trying to sleep, and you keep having this stuff rehearsed in your head that this person said or these people said to you over the years. That's their opinion. That doesn't matter. What they say, it should go in one ear and out the other, because they don't really know you. Think about that a minute. They really don't know you. So all the words, all the negativity and all the anger and the rage that keeps coming against you, more times than not, comes from their hurt, comes from their pain, comes from their anguish. Again, reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise bring healing. Proverbs 18:21 says this, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Think about that. The person grumbles and complains about their lot in life or the bad things that have happened to them. They attract negativity and further problems. How many times haven't you gotten on this binge of complaining and you realize that at the end of the hour or 2 hours or 2 days or 2 weeks of complaining that your life hasn't gotten any better at all? In fact, it's gotten worse because your whole mindset has shifted because of the result of your complaining and your incessant whining. I know somebody right now, as we tape this show, who is non-stop whining. Non-stop. They whine over every single thing. Even people trying to help them, it's not enough. It's whine, 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 whine. When I have a daughter, Juliana, who had cancer 8 times and she didn't whine once. Not once. In fact, one of her sayings is, whining is for babies. Whew. Man, that always grabs me by the tonsils. I wish she was here to share it with you. Whining is for babies. There's power in your words. Words in fact, Ann Stewart writes, words are physical containers of spiritual thoughts. Again, words are physical containers of spiritual thoughts. The Bible says God spoke the world into existence. The thought was there first, but God spoke it to order, and then it took reality according to the Bible. So if you and I believe that maybe you have a little piece of that is that the words you speak can either create or the words you speak can destroy, you're going to be a little bit more aware. You're going to be a little bit more on the alert of what you allow out of your mouth. I'll say it multiple times on the show today, is you don't have to say everything that comes into your head. Uh-oh. That's a shocker for some of us. Again, you don't have to say everything that comes into your head. You don't. You can bite your tongue. There's times when, I can't. If I said hundreds of times, I don't want to exaggerate, but it's been a lot of times when I have said stuff that popped into my head, it came out of my mouth, and I just inserted way past my foot in my mouth. It was all the way up to my thigh because I just being stupid, just being dumb, just saying whatever pops in my head instead of thinking something through before I say it. I'm asking you today to think stuff through more times than not before you say it. Because sometimes you don't need to say what you think. The opportunity of a lifetime has to be seized one moment at a time. And equally important in all this I'm sharing with you here today is you need to be very careful about the words that enter your ears. Think about this a second. You got to be very careful about the words that enter your ears, because if you are adamant about being careful about the words that enter your ears, then you're going to be very much more cautious about the people that are in your life. Let me say it another way. Some of us have to get divorced from friends and family members in our lives because the negativity that comes out of them is tearing you down, because they refuse to change, because, like I said moments ago, they don't know that they don't know. You have to separate yourself from some friends in your life because they don't know that they don't know, so that all that comes out of their mouth is poison, is negativity, is doubt, is nastiness, is cursing, is just, they're not going anywhere at all ever unless they realize that they know that they don't know. You may not be able to change them. In fact, there are some people out there that won't change except for pain. And I would suggest to you that consistent pain sometimes changes people, whereas 1 or 2 times dealing with pain doesn't change people at all. The words you speak matter. In the Bible, in Matthew chapter 12, a paraphrase of that text, starting in verse 33, says this: "If you grow a healthy tree, you'll pick healthy fruit. If you grow a diseased tree, you'll pick worm-eaten fruit." Listen, the fruit tells you about the tree. You have minds like a snake pit, the story says, the author says. How do you suppose what you say is worth anything when you're so foul-minded? It's your heart, not the dictionary, that gives you meaning to your words. The author goes on to say, a good word produces good deeds, and words season after season. An evil person blight on the orchard. Let me tell you something, the paraphrase says. Every one of those careless words is going to come back and haunt you. There will be a time of reckoning. Words are powerful. Take them seriously. Words can be your salvation. Words can be your damnation. Yikes. Jack saxophonist Charlie Parker, who lived years ago, said, quote, "If you don't live it, it won't come out of your horn." Ouch. Again, if you don't live it, it won't come out of your horn. In other words, there's an ancient text that says what's in here comes out here. Think about that a second. What's in here, what's in your heart, what's in your mind, comes out here. So if you want to change the words that come out of your mouth, what has to happen? There has to be a renovation on the inside. And that comes in multiple forms, and there's several ways that can happen. But unless the renovation happens on the inside, then you and I are consistently going to be saying words that are destructive instead of constructive. I'll say it again. Your words matter. Poorly chosen words can kill enthusiasm. It can impact self-esteem. It can lower expectations and hold people back. But well-chosen ones can, however, motivate. It can offer hope. It can create vision. It can impact thinking and other outstanding results. But also, too, our bodies also mirror our words. Our bodies, your body reacts to what we say, to what you say. Again, your body reacts to what you say. Try to say I'm sad and laugh, or try to laugh and say I'm sad. It's oxymoronish. Again, try to say I'm sad and laugh, and try to laugh and say that I'm sad. It just doesn't mesh, does it? There's a guy that lived years ago by the name of Rudyard Kipling, and he said, words are, of course, the most powerful drug used by mankind. Again, words are the most powerful drug used by mankind. We see it throughout history. Adolf Hitler is a horrible example of how he used words to manipulate millions of people to murder millions of people. Words. And then you have words of teachers that you have experienced in your life that gave you that one little nudge, that one little encouraging sentence or paragraph, or one little encouraging word that kept you in school, that kept you moving forward. Or family members or neighbors or colleagues. It just gave you that little nudge, that little word of inspiration that kept you moving forward. I'm asking you today to remember the words that you use, to think about everything that you say, all the people that you're around, because everything everybody says to you will impact you in one way or another. And you are the only one who can control the people in your life. You're going to say, well, John, I can't do that because I work here and I go there. Yes, you can. You can determine whether or not people will deposit seeds of doubt and negativity into your mind, which then translates into your heart, which then becomes part of your being. I'm asking you today to really think about the words that you use and the words that you allow to move into your mind. So I'm hoping the show today gave you a little bit of insight on how important it is to be mindful of the words that you learn, the words that you speak, and the power of the words that you should speak, and maybe some of the words that you should not even speak at all. My name is John Carver, and I really appreciate you watching the show today, and we'll be back real soon. Thanks so much.